begin in Ohio, where voters are heading to the polls to vote in Democratic and Republican primaries right now. The big races to watch, the battle for governor, Secretary of State, and U.S. Senate. ABC News congressional correspondent Rachel Scott has been driving across the state, following the candidates and talking to voters.
Hey, Kira. Well, as you know, it is primary day here in the state of Ohio, and this is just one of the many polling locations in this area. We've already met several voters coming in to cast their ballot, including Republican candidate J.D. Vance. He, of course, is in this crowded field for the GOP Senate primary. He is Trump's pick for the job. The former president throwing the entire race a curveball, supporting J.D. Vance, a venture capitalist best known for his book Hillbilly Elegy, and just the final chapter of this race. Vance has told me he hopes that Trump's endorsement gives him enough momentum to seal the deal. In fact, he told me he's very confident that if voters turn out today, he is the candidate that is going to win this race. Of course, this is just the Republican primary, so whoever goes on to win it will go to face a Democrat later in this fall, likely Democratic frontrunner Tim Ryan, who is leading in the polls in his race. Big issues here for voters, I could tell you top of mind: immigration, inflation, and abortion, especially given that recent news, that report of the Supreme Court document being leaked, the likelihood of Roe versus Wade overturned. We talked to several voters today heading in to cast their ballot. They said that issue, more than anything else, is on their mind. Republicans were very excited to see that happen. They want abortion outlawed in this state. Democrats are blasting it, and they say they hope that this galvanizes their voters to get out and vote this November. Kira?
All right, Rachel, thanks so much. We will follow you on the road. And it's not just Ohio, but people in Indiana also voting today in that high-stakes Democratic and Republican primaries. Joining me now, State House and politics reporter for the Indy Star, Kaitlin Lange, also Ohio politics reporter for USA Today Network, Haley Bemiller. Ladies, great to have you. A terrific team you indeed make. Let's go ahead and start in Ohio. That's where Rachel was. Haley, let's talk about reaction to what we know now is the legit leak, this internal memo, a draft of the Supreme Court opinion on abortion. What are you hearing? What do you know?
The reaction in Ohio is, as expected, pretty much following along partisan lines. Ohio nationally is a state that stands out in terms of abortion restrictions. We have a GOP supermajority in the legislature right now, a Republican governor that supports restrictions on abortion. We have some the so-called trigger laws pending in our legislature right now, and some other laws on the books that restrict abortion access. So Republicans in Ohio are championing this as a potential win for restricting abortion access further. Democrats are upset about it. They're worried about the implications for what this means for abortion access in Ohio. And what's interesting with our primary being today, we have a Democratic primary in the governor's race between Nan Whaley and John Cranley. Not a lot of daylight between the two of them. They're similar on a lot of issues, but Nan Whaley, more so than Cranley, has been in favor of abortion access. Cranley now supports that, but it took him a bit to come along to that side of things. He changed his tune on that recently. So some Democrats have told us today that, you know, just based on that alone and based on what we learned last night, that that's affecting their vote for governor today.
Interesting. Okay, Kaitlin, how about you and Indiana voters? Reaction and overall feeling at abortion, what we learned, how it's impacting voters there?
Yeah, I'd say that there have been multiple people that our reporters have spoken with at the polls that said this is the issue that kind of inspired them to come to the polls today. I know it's the primary, and so in a lot of races, there's not a huge difference between the two candidates on this issue, but particularly in our state house right now, I think the Supreme Court ruling is going to, you know, encourage people to look at their state government a lot more closely. And we have a lot of state house races on the ballot because we are a Republican supermajority. These primary races are probably where the competition is for the most part for the state house. So it could mean the difference between a candidate who is 100% against abortion, you know, with no exceptions versus a candidate who does agree with some exceptions. So I think that's where the line is today in the primaries here in Indiana.
Okay, clearly making an impact. All right, well, Haley, let's talk about some other issues on the minds of Ohio voters. What are they most passionate about, and how's that impacting today's vote?
When we talk to voters lately, the thing that's really top of mind, as was pointed out earlier, is inflation. People are feeling it at the gas pump, grocery stores, just a lot of concerns about the economy right now, and getting workers to fill jobs. So candidates on both sides of the aisle in today's race have really been playing that up as a result. Republicans are pinning a lot of the blame on the Biden administration. You have a Democrat, Tim Ryan, who's leading the primary for that race, who has really, instead of focusing his primary campaign on more progressive issues, has really centered it around workers and the economy, recognizing that this is something that's top of mind for voters right now.
And Kaitlin, how's the turnout been in Indiana so far? Like, how soon could we expect actually seeing results, you think?
I'm hoping we see results tonight. As someone who's going to be working tonight, turnout
late night for you.
Yes. But turnout is obviously lower due to a midterm election, and plus in Indiana, our two Senate candidates are unopposed in the primary. So we're hoping people still turn out to vote, but I expect it to be lower than most other years.
Haley, let me ask you about former President Trump. He endorses a candidate, and usually, that seals the nomination. What does this primary mean for not only Republican candidates there, but the future of Trumpism?
Well, I think regardless of who the winner tonight is, with a couple exceptions, you're going to see that the Trump wing of the party is very much alive in Ohio. Obviously Trump specifically picked J.D. Vance, and he's hoping that Vance gets across the finish line. It seems like, based on recent polling, that, that endorsement is going to help him get there. He was trailing behind for a little while, and really has surged ahead because of the endorsement in these last couple weeks. But if the winner is someone like Josh Mandel, another front runner in the race, he and other candidates have also embraced the former president emphatically. They were hoping to get his endorsement and obviously did not, but they still have been really playing to that wing of the party. So I think the only candidate really hasn't been embracing the Trump wing of the party as much has been State Senator Matt Dolan. He's been a lot more focused on sort of an issue-based message. He, says that he's the only one really focused on Ohio. He has been, gaining some momentum in recent days, but I'm still not sure it's going to be enough for him to pull out a win. So whether, again, if it's Vance, if it's Mandel, I think, pretty confident that that aspect of the Republican Party is dominant in Ohio right now.
All right, and Kaitlin, finally for you, Trump hasn't endorsed a candidate in Indiana. Do you think that's impacted the way voters are leaning?
I don't think so. I think it would, specifically talking about the senator race, I think it would potentially have an impact had Senator Tom Young faced a primary opponent. It was really interesting that there wasn't this big push to get an opponent on the ballot, even though, like you mentioned, Senator Young, I think, is one of maybe 4 senators who has not gotten Trump, support in this reelection cycle. So it's kind of interesting that despite that, he still doesn't have a primary challenger. I think where we see the impact of Trump play out more, it might be in Indiana's 1st congressional district, which this is one that we're really watching in the general election. But the 2 frontrunner Republican candidates up there are kind of battling over who is the true Republican. And some of the criticisms against Blair Milo, one of the candidates, is that she at one point was not gung-ho about Trump. She was kind of undecided about who she was going to vote for at first in the general election back in 2016. So we're definitely seeing the potential impact that Trump could have on that there.
All right, Kaitlin Lange, Haley Bemiller, ladies, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.